How is it going to do that? Let's see. Bhagavan is going to now tell us, by means of sadhana, we can know the Kshetrajna Purusha. Meditation, first of all, behold the self in the self by the self. Reminiscent of chapter number 2. Others say by Jnana Yoga, Sankhya Yoga, Karma Yoga. Others, not knowing this, worship Bhakti Yoga, having heard it from others. And they too cross beyond death because they are starting off on the journey. So one day they'll reach it. If they would regard what they have heard as their supreme refuge. They've heard something and they say, yes, that is my supreme refuge. So, Purusha, and this is what we have seen. And the reverse process is Dhyana Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga. See how wonderful Bhagavan is kind of pointing out to us that this is how you can detect the Purusha here and now. And as we practice more and more of Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and going on to Dhyana Yoga, by meditation, we behold the self in the self by the self. This is the beauty of the Bhagavad Gita, is that it is giving us very clear, precise instruction as how to get to the truth about ourselves and go beyond this suffering ego identity. So, how to live through the Gita again? Reflect on your current practices according to the Gita. Think about how you've been practicing. Reflect about how you can bring the idea of Kshetrajna as present in the moment of your sadhana. Practice having the consciousness of yourself as the Kshetrajna, here and now. How? By recognizing what we have talked about just now in every moment, every day. Whether you are just eating something and enjoying, remember the Purusha. It's allowing you to enjoy, giving you the experience of enjoyment. And when you are beholding the self by the self in meditation, the highest practice of meditation allows us a clear glimpse of that wonderful transcendental reality. This can only be done by the means Bhagavan has given us, and again reminding ourselves that I'm not the field, I'm actually the knower of the field. And practice remaining as the witness, the field, witness of the field, the body, mind, intellect. So this is how we can do it. I mean, this is, not complete abstract philosophy. It is something which is absolutely achievable, it is doable, and this is what we got to learn, how to live through the Gita by the techniques and sadhana which Bhagavan is giving us. So what is the result of knowing Chitra, the Purusha? Wherever any being is born, the unmoving or the moving, know you best of Bharatas, that it is from the union of the field and the knower of the field. Remember the two things, conjunction, coming together, matter and spirit coming together, this totality of creation. Know that everything which is perceived or experienced is nothing but a combination of Kshetra and Kshetrajna. This is a very important idea in the Bhagavad Gita, is that Brahman, divinity, is not far away. It's not something which we can't reach. It is here and now. Recognize it. Begin to recognize here and now, in ourselves, in the very nature of our experience. Kshetrajna is here and now. Purusha is present here. And he sees, who sees the Supreme Lord existing equally in all beings, the unperishing within the perishing. See the one in all. And indeed, he who sees the same Lord everywhere, equally dwelling, destroys not the self by the self. So self is not going to be destroyed. Why? Because we are looking at the Lord everywhere. He goes to the highest goal. So seeing the one in all and seeing the all in one. These are ideas we have come across again and again, that divinity is here now. Recognize it in the world outside, recognize it within yourself, recognize that everything is contained in this one reality, all in one. So this is the result. The result is what? Is that if I see all this, then I go to the highest goal. And the highest goal is nothing but the ultimate transcendental reality called Brahman. That is nothing but the truth about ourselves. That is the knowledge, that is the self-knowledge, which we are trying to reach out to. And he sees who sees all actions are performed by Prakriti alone, and self is actionlessness. So this actionlessness, which we talked about earlier on, that is when we get to this state of realization that we begin to see none of these things which are actions being performed by Prakriti alone is not me. Is Prakriti going on doing its job, while I as the self remain actionless. When he sees the whole variety of beings as resting in this one divine reality and spreading forth from that one alone, he then becomes Brahman. So not only recognizing the self in me is the same self everywhere, but that each and every name and form which I'm looking at in my transaction reality, the essence of all these things is nothing but the Brahman. And I can become Brahman when I see the whole variety of beings as resting in this one divine reality called Ishvara, spreading forth from what? From that Brahman, the transcendental reality. Pointing out to us once more, transcendental reality, Brahman, the totality of creation, Ishvara, and then the avatar, and then you and me, and I have to ascend from this ego identity to become Brahman. How? By knowing that the whole variety of everything which is here, resting in the one reality of Ishvara, and then spreading forth from that which is Brahman, recognizing Brahman is the ultimate from which all this variety of beings are coming into being. And when I experience this firsthand, that is when the state of realization is reached. Being without beginning, being devoid of qualities, the Supreme Self, the imperishable, though dwelling in the body, O Kaunteya, neither acts nor is tainted. So Supreme Self remains without any kind of taint, as it were. It is not affected by all this goings on Prakriti. As the all-pervading ether is not tainted, like the space is not tainted by whatever it is containing because of its subtlety. Space is subtle. Whatever is there is the gross objects. So too the self, seated everywhere in the body, is not tainted. This is the existence principle. And here comes the consciousness principle. What is the consciousness principle? Like the sun. So space has been given as an example. Sun is being given as an example. The sun illumines the whole world. So also the Lord of the field, Paramatma, illumines the whole field of Bharata. This is the consciousness principle. So Bhagavan has mentioned all these, both these fundamental principles of the ultimate reality, which is the existence principle, Sat, and consciousness principle, which is Chit. And they who with the eye of wisdom come to know the distinction between field and the knower of the field and of the liberation from Prakriti of the being, they go to the Supreme. So liberation from the Prakriti of being means that I completely disidentify with the body, mind, intellect, get liberated from this identification, and I know the distinction now between what is matter, what is Prakriti, what is consciousness, what is the principle of existence, which is the knower of the field, which is Brahman. When I, through my eye of wisdom, Bhagavan graciously gave Arjun the eye of wisdom so that he can see the divine reality. For us, the eye of wisdom is what? Is having this Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam continuously taking place, Viveka, Vairagya, Satsampati, Mumukshatva, all the 9 tools of our spiritual toolkit being used moment by moment. And that eye of wisdom which allows us to have this Chitta Shuddhi. And Ramana Maharshi says in Updeshar, he says, Chitta Shodakam Mukti Sadhanam. That Chitta Shuddhi is really the instrument for us to release ourselves from this cycle of birth and death. This is the eye of wisdom. And we can, all of us, attain this eye of wisdom by the sadhana clearly given to us in this chapter and the previous chapters and the following chapters as well by Bhagwan, of how to reach the Supreme, to get to a point of complete self-realization. This is what Bhagwan wants all of us to do, right? He wants us to know the Supreme Truth because that is the ultimate solution to all the problems of human existence. Remember the first 6 chapters and the condition of Arjun in this state of suffering. He says, you are suffering, but let me give you this wonderful knowledge and the practice of getting to that ultimate destination, and you will escape this ego identity, this identity which is suffering, so that you can attain the Supreme and solve the problem of suffering once and for all.